All right, we are officially recording, and what will happen is I'll take this recording afterwards, we'll turn it into MP4 or a YouTube video, and it's, you can share it within your team. It's not going to matter to anybody else except for the people that are participating. This is very specific, but you are welcome to share that with your teams for sure. So let's just go ahead and just jump right in. And thank you all for joining us. I mean, obviously there was a lot of information last night, and I appreciate your patience as well as your grace as we go through some of this, and understanding that we've learned along the way what we're doing and what this means for nonprofits and how the challenges unfold. And now that we're embarking on this little new idea of having it more of 5, 6, 7 organizations, not just the 2 competing, I think it opens up the doors for much more education and opportunities for more people to learn from. And as we go, you'll get these calendar invites, but know that even if there are more added and you can't make it, it'll be recorded and it'll be sent to you. But we'll be really mindful of everyone's time and the content that's in there, and trying to make it as succinct as possible and also relevant. And sometimes there's some new things that come along that's just great information, and it may not have been on the radar or the original calendar invites, but we want to be able to share it and get it out there. You don't have to plan on being at every one of these. So as we continue to evolve and grow, I want to make sure that we're getting great content out to everybody, and not miss out on something that could apply. So know that there might be additional information that comes out to everyone for those purposes. It's education, it's great content, and you'll get a lot of emails along the way. If it's important or if it's an update that's urgent, you'll know through the emails that I send. But I'll try to keep it very consistent and tight with the information that's just really relevant to what you need to know, or as it applies as we go. So thank you for that. Also, just any recap from yesterday, are there any questions that have come up? Or if there are, please feel free, either just jump in or use the hand raise icon. Yes, Heidi, I saw that. But yes, I'd love for people to jump in and ask those questions. Heidi?
Yeah, so one thing that we somehow we missed it last night, and you probably said it, but we were just kind of taking in all the information as everybody else was. But so that on the 15th, when we get our 40 plus people there and we receive some donations, does that count towards our 12,500?
Oh, great question. I don't think I addressed that at all, actually. No, it would be different. It would be in addition to the 12,500. I'm going to turn my camera off.
Okay, so it does not count. It's
yeah, it will not count. It'll be in addition to.
Okay.
But what you can do as an idea is you can use some of the 40 people in the request for the 12 or 25 people to help further fundraise. What you'll end up getting on the 15th is more akin to smaller donations, and the $10 or $100, and the fundraising request with the 25 people, that would be more like them going out on a different strategy or giving or getting that money.
Okay. Okay.
Does that help address that?
Yep, it does.
Okay. All right, so feel free to use that hand raise icon if you have questions. Jump in and don't hesitate. So I have this email that I haven't sent out to everybody. I've got it all completely drafted for the Punch Bowl content that you can modify as needed for your people, and I'll send that out here in a few minutes when Alicia gets started, as well as the link to the LinkedIn invite. And if you haven't already liked Auction Frogs or followed Auction Frogs, please do. So that way, when you have this link, you'll be able to share this consistent link through this one invite where we're able to track everything, see the invites, and we take that information and we're putting it into Punch Bowl and further sending that invitation. And also just to keep it succinct with one particular LinkedIn invite. So I will get that sent over here in just a few moments. Just a few housekeeping notes would be to mute everybody. It looks like everyone is muted. Use the hand raise or feel free to jump in with questions. It's an interactive discussion with Alicia, and there's no wrong answers, but I do encourage that you jump in and ask the questions and participate and be part of this and be present, because as it's been recorded, everybody will get this, and it helps with that interaction from other people so that it brings context to what we're doing here. So with that, Alicia, I want to go ahead and turn it over to you, and you can do a introduction about what this class course is and what to expect, and we can just jump in and get started. Alicia.
Thank you. So I am one of those people who really hates having my camera on during meetings, especially meetings where there's lots of people. But in this one, unfortunately, it's so interactive. If you can have your camera on, that would be helpful, because there's a lot of nonverbal communication that happens when we're talking about asking for money or engaging in that way. So it just kind of helps to have that if you can do that. But if you are in a position where you can't, like you're hiding from your children in a closet somewhere to do this call, I've been there, done that. That's okay too. You can keep your camera off. There's many times I'm hiding in my little walk-in closet with all the doors locked so nobody can find me. So I can respect that. Okay, what we're going to talk about today is really the ask, the art of the ask. And I'm going to pop up this little PowerPoint and share with you guys. One of the main things when it comes to asking for money is really just being brave enough to ask at the end of the day. There is an art to it, there's a science to it, but at the end of the day, the best way to get it is to ask for it. And because I kind of toggle back and forth, I'm like, I go back and forth. Do I make it a slideshow? Do I just run it this way? So sometimes I just decide to not make it a slideshow so I can go back and forth in the Teams. But today we'll try to do that. Okay. So really your organization's created for a specific goal or purpose. There is an issue, a societal problem, or something like that that has created the need for your organization. And that's really what we're talking about. It's being able to connect to what that social issue is, really bring it to light for those people who didn't realize that there is an issue. For example, we're doing backpacks through our Auction Frogs Give Back campaign for school children. And we know that homelessness is a social issue. We know that there's a problem. We see it, we understand it, but do we really know? And we found out that there are 1,100 homeless kids in the Nampa School District alone. And I was floored that this social issue is so much bigger than we thought. So a lot of times in your nonprofit, people will kind of understand, yeah, we know that epilepsy is a disease. We know that it's not good, but we really don't know what it is. We know that Junior League is cool, but we really don't know what they do. We know that veterans struggle when they come home, but we don't understand why. So there's a lot of things where they get it, but on a surface level. And part of your job is to really help them understand the depth of it in a very quick and articulate fashion, and then understand what you're doing about it in a way that allows them to see that, holy crap, there is an issue and you guys are doing something great about it, and then to be able to invite them to join you to do something about it. So that's a lot of information in a 30-45 second elevator pitch. Wouldn't you agree? So for me, you guys you can unmute. This is very interactive. I know everyone's like, mute your stuff unless you're talking, but go ahead and unmute because you're going to be talking a lot. So wouldn't you agree that's a lot of information in that short amount of time?
Yeah.
Yes.
So in that, what we're going to do first is break it down. We're going to understand what your mission is, what is your unique value proposition, how to really kind of create that elevator pitch, and then we're going to share it a little bit with each other, and we're going to examine it, and we're going to recognize some opportunities for growth, and we're going to review. That's really what the first 30-45 minutes of this session is about. So in that, I love this share, not share thing with Teams. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And one representative from each of your organizations, Adrian, is going to be the voice for today. You guys decide who. Otherwise, it will take us all day to do this, which honestly, for me, I wouldn't mind because I love this part of training of really understanding and getting to know you as people and why you're attached to your missions and what your missions are. But what I want you to do is kind of tell me And you don't have to condense it to 30 seconds, but tell me what your mission is, why it exists. What is a social issue? What is your mission? And why do you participate in it? And we'll go through each organization. Who wants to start? Kyle, you're first to the show. Let's go. I'm going to bump you up since Isaac's not here yet. And you're new and I get to pick on you.
All right. So the mission of the VEA is to assist veterans after they get out of service to start their own business and pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. This personally is really important to me because I got out just a couple of years ago, and towards the end of my service, I kind of felt that I should be somewhere else. I should be doing something more. Wasn't sure what it was yet, but when I was kind of introduced to Isaac through one of his spring cohorts about one of these free classes that our organization puts on about teaching about entrepreneurship, I just kind of threw my resume at him and said, I've got marketing experience. I think I could help you until I figure out what I want to do. I can help him help everybody else. So,
right. And what is the social issue? Like, why is there a need for a VA versus just a regular entrepreneur alliance?
So one thing that Isaac had mentioned was that after World War II, the vets came home and there was a lot of benefits and a lot of resources being poured into not just getting jobs, but starting their own jobs. And that really kind of boosted the economy. And so right now, I think he said, again, I could be misquoting, so forgive me. I think it's like less than 3% of vets that get out now actually pursue any entrepreneur goals or anything. They just get out and get a job, which is fine. But I think for those that are interested, they should have an avenue to help them get where they need to be.
Okay. Adrian, do you have anything to add to that as part of the VEA?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. No, what Kevin was, Kyle, not Kevin, sorry. What Kyle was saying was spot on, right? So veteran entrepreneurship is down historically from when it was in World War II. There was a lot more resources available to veterans getting out to start businesses. Now we see less of that, especially with like federal governments or with the federal government, with the SBA and all of that stuff. It's not as involved anymore. And so with veterans, the very, very tight-knit community, what we're trying to do is kind of build the veteran community and veteran spouse community together with business resources. Like if you were to ask for a loan or go to the SBA, you have to do all of those things by yourself. But there's a lot of veterans and veteran spouse-owned businesses that are currently out there doing it right now. And I think we can learn from each other and really build not just like the training, but also that assistance that you see in the military, right? That camaraderie. So like, I help you out, you help me out type of deal. And so that's where the VEA kind of fits in, is rebuilding that community to where we can all help each other out with our endeavors. Perfect.
One of the things I love about the VEA particularly, besides, the people, like I love my veterans, like they're my own little collection of people that I adore and work with a lot. One of the things I love is that it is a nonprofit that has a lot of opportunity offered to veterans, but at the same time, it's building the backbone of economy in places. And those are local businesses. As those businesses grow and rise, they become incredible community partners. So a really neat thing about interacting with organizations like the VEA or a chamber is that for other nonprofits, they're going to have ties to your guys' nonprofits in a variety of ways. They're going to be your future donors, your future sponsors as they build. For example, Fireside Pine, phenomenal apparel company. I have the best, most coziest hoodie and pair of pants that I got from working with backcountry vets and Fireside Pine, and I love it. I like feel so happy, and it does bring me back to that happy place of being around a campfire. They're a veteran-owned business, a small business, part of the VEA. They turned around and they became the title sponsor for Idaho Backcountry Vets event. So this is a very cyclical thing. These are great businesses to know, because as Larry mentioned last night, those big companies are constantly hit up. Like everybody wants to call Simplon and Micron and hope they're going to give them $20,000. This is not the reality of the world we live in. right? They have very specific giving guidelines. It's those small businesses that are coming up that are new. They want to give back. They're so appreciative for different opportunities. And in a lot of ways, in the Veteran Entrepreneur Alliance, they'll be tied to veterans organizations, but a lot of times they have other things that they believe in too, right? Many people have multiple places that they give. So it's a really important thing to network and communicate and understand that as we're building our nonprofits and we're building our small businesses, we have a chance to grow together. So just heads up, guys, I would keep a close eye on these guys and see who might be at your next event. All right, who's next? Oh, goodness. Don't make me pick on you. I'm Jessica. Oh, go ahead, Kristen.
So the Junior League of Boise is an organization of women whose mission is to advance women's leadership for meaningful community impact through volunteer action, collaboration, and training. Really, our intent here is to be educational and charitable. At this moment in time, we are struggling with a little bit of an identity crisis because as what you guys heard last night is I listed all these really big things that we've built in the Treasure Valley. But a lot of that stuff was done before all of our members were working real jobs. So we offer an opportunity for women to receive training to go out and do bigger, better things in the community. And our current strategic focus right now is hunger and food insecurity, which is very new for us. We've just transitioned from early childhood education last year. So at this point, we are working on developing partnerships as it relates to hunger and food insecurity in the Treasure Valley. I listed a few with whom we partnered last year, but we, like I said, we're still having a little bit of an identity crisis right now because, you know, both Taryn and I work full-time jobs, both full-time moms, right? And I don't have, like Larry was kind of patting us on the back last night, I don't have 30 women to send to help build the Morrison Center, you know, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, every day. So our projects have become much smaller with a smaller impact. So we're really hoping through this process to kind of get some help with that identity crisis that we're going through right now and help us with the pitch to make it more specific as we're kind of navigating into this new strategic focus. Does that make sense?
It does. Are you looking for more membership at the same time as kind of a shift? Because I mean, we talk about mission drift a lot in nonprofits, but it doesn't sound like mission drift because the Junior League mission is the same. It's just a matter of where the energy and support is, right?
Yeah, it's identifying where it is. So we know it's hunger and food insecurity, right? We've tripled our numbers over the last couple of years. So we were planning on shuttering, and now we're really becoming one of the larger small leagues globally. So recruitment is always something we are consistently doing, but not our key focus right now. Really, we feel like our recruitment would be most helped if we were to have a specific thing that we were going to build and do. So when I'm doing our Derby Day event and we're doing our paddle race, we're not saying, give us more money for training, you know, the women of our community. We want to go build this. So give us, that's really where we've been floundering of recent.
Okay. There is some really amazing small, what do they call those? Places where you go pick up food.
Food pantries.
Thank you. Like, there's a word for this and it has food in it. Food pantries. So I actually volunteered with one out here in Nampa over at the Nazarene, like the Nazarene church. They've got a small food pantry and they do a phenomenal job of connecting and being, you know, able to source food and then get food out. They don't ask questions. You know, they tell people, you know, we'd like for you to just come once a month, but you know, they don't grill people or ask a lot of questions. They just do boxes. And their volunteer base is really a lot of church members in that group, which actually happens to be a range. Because when I was out there, I was like, this is fascinating to me. You've got a lot of elderly people and they're working in the food pantry. And then you got a lot of teenagers. And that combination of teenagers and elderly people was a really neat thing because it worked really well. They have lunch together at the end. They have this opportunity to share and give back and communicate. They also have a couple of developmentally disabled people that they work with there that come in to do service. And it was a really neat experience. So in that regard, I could see there's some neat opportunities for Junior League to engage in pantries like that, where it really solves a variety of social issues, in my opinion. Inclusivity when it comes to elderly, developmentally disabled. It has some great structures for youth that have opportunities for volunteerism and growth and learning, as well as the food insecurity side. The other thing is when they volunteer, they get to take a box at the end. So they don't get to come and get all the prime stuff, but they do get to take a box home. So there were several families from the Ukrainian culture that, they have a lot of children. And this is one of the ways they come, they volunteer every single week, 2 days a week, and they take a box home each time amongst them. And there's like 5 or 6 of them. They rotate between teenagers, and they were literally the coolest teenagers I've hung out with in a long time. So there's some neat opportunities, I think, to engage that way. But how do you reach that kind of market? That's really the thing. I think for me, that would be really a challenge to understand, how do I reach this target market of food pantries? Because they're not high level on technology. They're not super engaged that way. They're not out there in the streets. Like you'd have to be in a megaphone or something. That's a really interesting kind of marketing strategy of how do you find them and how do you grow in those networks? I can tell you I volunteered with them once a week for about 2 or 3 months. And I was welcomed as a family member. I like, come have dinner at our house. And it was just the neatest thing. And I don't go to that church. Like, I don't know any of these people. It was just down the street, and it was a really neat way to engage. And I could bring Liam once with me because he's 10. And so you don't have a lot of little kids, but he got to help like shop. That's what they call it. You go off the shelves and you pull the boxes, and he thought it was fascinating. They gave him popsicles. It's just a really beautiful culture. And I think a lot of the smaller food pantries are built that way, but I don't know what that opportunity would look like. But I think that would be a really neat way to find out what that is in the junior league world without going back to, again, kind of that smaller organic style of small business or small organizations versus like the Life's Kitchens and the Idaho Food Bank, which are phenomenal.
And we're working with those
organizations.
guys, 100%.
Yeah.
We are working with those guys for sure.
And they're phenomenal. Like we love them. And I know that the smaller pantries, when you're working with the food bank, the smaller pantries get food from the food bank. They end up getting a portion of that. So that would be the natural connection if you're working with them. And I think for me as a woman, like if I wanted to be part of Junior League and I knew you were doing something like that and there was a volunteer opportunity to be part of something like that on that smaller, really organic, like roll up your sleeves community level in communities that really are having major issues with food insecurity, that would draw me in. Like if you're like, hey, come volunteer at the food bank, I'm like, me and 500 bazillion other people, I love the food bank, but I have a lot of things to do. They don't need me, right? Like part of volunteerism is somebody needs you. Somebody needs me, I'm compelled to volunteer because I feel like I should be doing something. If other people are doing that job, I'm like, somebody else is doing it. I can go over here where somebody might need me. And I think as a volunteer recruiting tool, those smaller pantries might be a really great way to engage more women that feel that way, that they want to be needed and they don't want to just be kind of a cog in the wheel, but to really experience something at that nuclear level is powerful.
Can I raise one question though? So the example you gave me is extraordinary. And honestly, I hope for Taryn, a whole bunch of light bulbs went off there too. But our first challenge, and I don't know if all the other groups would have that, is the second word you said is church. So being that it's a religious organization, that is a real challenge. And I personally have a problem with it, but organizationally with regards to kind of our inclusion requirements, we are immediately turn away from a church, even though
Right.
it could be serving a great part of the community.
And
So I'm assuming everybody else has that
Care
same challenge.
The Care House food pantry part is not actually part of the church program.
Oh, okay. So it's
And
not,
so
okay. That
just
can't
because it kind of is under that, and it started there by them. There's no church affiliation to it. There's no religious
Okay.
material. There's no religious requirement. There's no you have to be
Okay.
a member. Nothing like that. There was no religion discussion at all. I think by the end of the time, somebody invited me, like, yeah, if you'd like to come, this is when we're going to be there. But it was
Got it.
never, yeah. And so yeah, if you're going to like for example, and I grew up LDS. The Bishop Storehouse is very much the Bishop Storehouse. Like that would be
Oh.
a challenge one. It is for, you have to go through the church to get the recommendation to go to get the food, right? Whereas this one, you literally drive up on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, you roll up in a truck, you never even got out of your truck. You tell them how many people are with you. They bring you food in a box and give it to you in your truck. They don't ask any questions. It doesn't matter ethnicity, age, family, religion, none of it. There's no communication that way.
Okay, well, I'm looking at them right now, so thank you
Yeah.
very much. I'll
Yeah,
make
and,
sure to
I
take
would just
it.
ask the Idaho Food Bank because they work with a lot of those, but something like
it.
that, right? But I do agree. We, we obviously at Auction Farms work with every type of nonprofit, religious or not, but there is a lot of it. It can be very polarizing. So 100% agree with that, Kristen. All right, who's next?
I can go.
All right.
So I guess, so what I do is, the Epilepsy Foundation, our primary mission is to advocate and educate for those in Idaho with epilepsy, and try and just, destigmatize the disease, because still in 2024, there is stigma associated with epilepsy, which is, it's just education. It's lack of education. But so I guess I would start with asking everybody if you know actually how common epilepsy is. Does anybody know the statistic?
No.
The prevalence of epilepsy is 1 in 26 people,
Whoa.
which is a lot.
This is my
You
shock
know,
face.
yeah, right? It's common, yet it goes under the radar. I mean, people don't know how to respond to a seizure. They don't know how to employ people with seizures. They avoid hiring people that have epilepsy. Kids are ostracized in school. I've actually received a phone call from a rural school district saying that they didn't want to take kids with epilepsy because they didn't know what to do with them if they had a seizure. So they wanted to turn them away.
Hey.
So fundraising for it is really difficult because unless you're directly affected, people just, it's just kind of, it goes under the radar. And so, like you mentioned last night, everybody, Microns, Albertsons, they're all getting the asks, but unless they're directly affected, we just don't get the funding. Our major donors are basically families that are impacted. But, it's getting the word out and finding the people that have an impact. And this sounds awful, but breast cancer, people flock to donate money to that. When in theory, epilepsy affects almost just as many people. So, anyways, that's kind of our struggle. And my foundation, I'm the only full-time employee. The rest are volunteer-based and my board members. So finding people to volunteer and champion the mission is difficult, as you all know. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of where we are.
really fascinating, actually. I'm like, not in a good way, but fascinating in that there's such a lack of awareness. I didn't know that at all.
Mhm.
And I think for breast cancer, it's a different thing entirely because their mission's marketing based and they've done a phenomenal job marketing. It has nothing to
Absolutely.
do with like one thing being more important than the other. They've crushed it in the marketing. So obviously it's a
Absolutely.
marketing problem, right? Like if we don't
Right.
know, then how do we help? Like I don't think I know anybody that has ever told me that they have epilepsy. I've never known anybody that's told me. And I know thousands and thousands of people. So obviously some of them have epilepsy and just didn't tell me, right? Like
Because there's stigma attached to it. People are embarrassed and ashamed, and yeah.
I'll have to think on that one to see how helpful I can be here in the valley with some creative ideas. Because and as a team, that's part of this conversation too, of kind of understanding, supporting, being able to share and spread the word. Really, when you get through that peer fundraising and some of that campaign and brand ambassadors, I think that will be a big boost for you guys because that awareness is just shocking to me. Like I would
Right.
never have imagined that. No, never.
Exactly.
I have a question. So when it comes to epilepsy, like, is there a block in funding for like people to get access to their medications? is it training for employers to know how to treat employees? Is it a shortage of people within the school system? Like what, I guess my thing would be like, what specifically would your particular funding like go to increase awareness or increase the well-being of people with epilepsy? Like if I know the medication is $800 a month, and so your goal is to raise, I don't, whatever 800 times 12 is, I don't do math, right?
Mhm.
And you say, if we raise, you know, $3,400, that pays for a year's worth of medication for somebody who can't otherwise afford it or something. So is there like some kind of a niche aspect of epilepsy where it would, somebody would be like, I can give $10 because that will go towards somebody's monthly medication or something?
Mhm. Well, there's lots of areas that funding could go towards. And one would be education in schools. School nurses are trained in CPR, um, which they should be, but the chances of them actually encountering a seizure are far more likely than ever having to do CPR. So there's lack of education in the schools, and it's not taught in health curriculum, seizure awareness or seizure training. So that would be one thing that I would love to fund. Medication's another huge one. So many people go without their medication because it is astronomically expensive. So funding medication for those that are that can't afford their medication. Driving is also another issue. In the state of Idaho, if you've had seizures within 6 months, you can't drive. So then that complicates the whole employment issue because people can't get to their place of work if they don't have reliable transportation. So that's another thing that could be funded. I mean, the list goes on and on. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Jess.
All right. So I am the COO. My dad, who was at the meeting last night, is the CEO of Blaze the Trail. We fund adoptions for military families. So my sister, she couldn't have children, so her and her husband decided to go to the route of adoption. Of course, they started the process. They had no idea how much that cost. Even US-based adoptions, even within the state of Idaho, can cost upwards of $30,000, which I don't think most people realize. You have to have home studies done, have to do background checks. They interview your very lengthy process. And if you are too, luckily, my sister, her husband was an officer while she was enlisted, but most enlisted people, military lingo, if you're like in E4, if you're both E4s, you can't afford $30,000 to have a family if you can't have children on your own. My sister also, her husband had 2 children from a previous marriage. So we're finding very much it's a blended family, right? Maybe people had children from other relationships. They come together, they can't have children together. This is the only way they can build their family. My sister passed away 7 years ago, which is when we started the foundation. Her daughter also passed away. But and I say 5 years because COVID, right? We had a little bit of a restructuring, kind of a rebrand due to COVID. But we have assisted 3 families with adoption since we've started. We haven't been able to fully fund it $30,000, but we have been able to give a portion of proceeds to 3 different families to help them with their adoption costs.
And why is this super important to you? You're gonna have to get wrong with it. It is what it
Okay.
is. Welcome to the mission.
So my sister, she was my baby sister, but she was an extremely accomplished person within the military. She was the first female tanker in the nation. You might have seen her on the news. She got the Spirit of Freedom Award from Senator Craig. And not that I use her platform to promote, but she was very accomplished and she didn't let people stand in her way. And she found out she couldn't have kids, and by golly, she was going to have a baby. The thing is, in the background, while my sister was not only not able to have her own children and trying to go through the process of adoption, she helped 3 other of her friends within the military adopt children while she was going through the process. So she was building families even when she couldn't build her own. Not only that, and she was the person who I got a phone call probably once every 3 months, like, hey, I've got a girl on Gowan. She's having a baby. She has nothing. She's 23 years old. And, you know, we would get donation boxes and get baby clothes and whatever needed put together. So she, as much as when she was growing up, she was like, I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have children. She thought I was crazy because I had 3 kids of my own. And they got custody of her husband's kids. And then she was like, oh my gosh, I want a baby. I want to build families. She worked child advocacy for the state of Idaho for children who were in foster care while their parents were, you know, trying to get back on track so they could have their kids back. I mean, at the end of the day, your family's pretty darn important. And until you have to put your family on a plane and send them to another country to fight a war, sometimes you don't understand that. And she used that to her advantage and did amazing things before she left.
And you're honoring her legacy because she died prematurely.
Yep. And so kind of, I was on Fundly today and setting everything up. And so my new little tagline is a family for every hero. So they deserve to have a family as much as anybody else.
And I know that you don't want to kind of, it's not about so much just kind of highlighting Erin and really talking about the tragedy that happened. But I feel like those are pieces. And as you're going through interviews and as you're talking about it, there's a way of balancing what you're doing and what the mission is, but still having that recognition. And I think there is a little bit of that challenge for you guys in the mission, because it's like, when I hear when your dad tells the story and when you tell the story, it's the same story, but you know, there's a lot of kind of tiptoeing. And I think, you know, especially when you're interviewing, like, they were killed in a house explosion, and it was tragic, and it was sudden, and it was awful. And that's something that, I just saw people's jaw drop. And that's not to say that's, you know, you don't stand on that for fundraising, and it's not, but you know, there's a way of doing it that is so powerful, that is beautiful, that doesn't have that crass. I know for you, it feels like crass, right? Like, you don't want to like go there, but it's like, the reality is she was in the process of doing all of these amazing things and building families and living her best life and being your best person. And she was taken prematurely. Like, it was disaster. It was, and continuing that legacy, and not just to honor her, but because it's such an important thing, because family is important and we recognize the importance of it. And it is something that is a very different dynamic, I'm sure, with military families. Like, I've not personally experienced it. I just know from the people that I work with or love or people that are, you know, veterans that I know really well. But I think you don't understand exactly what that is like. For me, even having that empathy doesn't mean I understand what it's like to lose somebody that way, or what it's like to put somebody on a plane to go to war, or being worried about what they're seeing or what they're doing when they're coming back. So I think there's a piece of that where you have to acknowledge that there's things that a civilian person can't necessarily understand in some ways. And when I work with VE a little bit, or Idaho Backcountry Vets a little bit, like, I can understand PTSD. I have complex PTSD. I can understand that. I can understand depression. I can understand suicide. I can understand feeling hopeless. I can relate in that way, but I can't understand the difference of where it comes from. Like, I know my experiences, I can speak to what that's like from childhood abuse, but I can't as a veteran in trauma, but I can understand the pieces of it, right? Like, at the core, I understand what it's like to have loss or feel that sadness or feel families or feel joy or feel happy. So when we're talking about these missions, just because I don't have epilepsy or because I haven't been part of junior league and I haven't had food insecurity. I mean, I've been poor. I've been some serious top ramen for a long time poor, but that's not the same thing as having children and having food insecurities and having my children be hungry. You know, so there's things that not every person can relate to every exact experience in your mission. And the goal of kind of this sharing, which is a perfect segue, Jess, thank you. And not to put you on the spot that way, but the goal of this kind of sharing is to understand the pieces that are relatable. Because you're going to have a very short amount of time connect with people. So it's the pieces that make sense that are human relatable that also are really important in what you do that kind of bridge that gap between like my experiences in my life and Kyle's experience in his life are not going to be the same. But as humans, there's going to be a lot of relatable things. Like there's a lot of relatable joy, sad, happy, you know, regardless of what kind of person or what kind of experience you have, everybody has those different types of emotions. Unless they're a sociopath. And sometimes they just give you money just so they can look cool, but we're not really going to dive too deep into that. So try to lighten the mood here a little bit because I know it gets heavy. So now as we kind of move into this next phase of you guys sharing, you know, really what the mission is, because we don't have anybody from Eagle on here, do we? Lines? Okay. I'm like, I didn't skip anybody, did I? So as we're doing this sharing, you know, now we all know a little bit more about you. We know a little bit more about your mission, like, and we know the social issue. Now we're going to move into this next phase, and now we're going to have everybody get to participate fully. And it really comes down to tell me in about 30 to 45 seconds who you are, what is your organization, why does it exist, and why do I care? So I'm going to give you a chance to think about that, right? So, you know, a good example when we're working with Nampa Family Justice Center around too. Good example is, you know, hi, I'm Alicia. I work with the Nampa Family Justice Center. It's really important to me because, you know, we have a lot of issues around families and domestic violence and abuse. And what the center does is it offers 16 different services under one roof. So if somebody comes and they've had a traumatic experience, maybe the worst experience of their life, or they're making a big move or a big leap and they're terrified, they can come to us and we can in-house guide them through these experiences, everything from counseling to legal aid to police, and help them feel a sense of safety and protection because they're scared and they come to us at their darkest time. This is important to me because growing up as a child that experienced a lot of abuse, I never knew where to go or where to turn. And I just kind of stuffed my feelings down as a Gen Xer. Now, as an adult, I've realized that didn't work. And I had a breakdown in my 30s, was diagnosed with complex PTSD. And if I had had a place like the Nampa Family Justice Center to go to talk through things, to get counseling, to understand that I wasn't alone, it might have changed the entire trajectory of my life. So I would love it if you would help me and participate. Right off the cuff. I don't even work for the Justice Center, but the rest of it is true. And that's why I do love supporting the Justice Center. So now you can see why I'm a donor of the Justice Center, right? Like, so I want you guys to take turns and we can just circle around. And this should be it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like raw. It's going to feel vulnerable. Some people are like, it's icky. I don't want to. If you can't do it on the Zoom call with your peers who are also feeling icky and vulnerable, and with me who's here just to pour love and energy and excitement into your fundraising, it's going to be real hard in a room with 300 people while you're trying to get a donation. So this is like a great practice ground. We're here to support each other, love each other. I know I'm a very love, hug, wave my arms around a lot person, but that's what makes me really good at fundraising. So I want you guys to take turns. Tell me really, like, introduce yourself just like I did. Does that example make sense? Does that feel kind of like, wow, like you all want to get to the Justice Center now, right?
I don't know if I can talk as fast as you. I'm going to try.
I got to get a lot of words out. When I say 30 seconds, I'm like, you don't
that
have
was
to
really impressive.
Yeah, one day you'll be a speed talker. No, it does flow naturally, and I do have to kind of like monitor how fast I talk when I get excited, because it comes through in this way of, you know, you can feel my passion for something through the computer, right? And regardless of how you do it, because everybody's got their own style. I don't think Kyle's going to be like, let's love, hug, kiss, woo, woo, woo. Like, but everybody has their own style.
Maybe.
And I have to feel that style come from you in order for me to want to get. Like, there's a lot of people asking for money out there. And if I can't understand it or relate to it, or I'm not feeling the authenticity in it, it's going to be much easier for me to pass. Right. And it's way harder to pass in person. Like, even when they ask you to round up the dollar at the grocery store, it's like, I've learned to be like, no, thank you. I mean, I'll round up a dollar, but like, I do a lot of charity work, and sometimes it just isn't the right thing for me at that place, at that point. You know, I want to buy something and take it to a pantry or somebody I know that needs it. So it just depends, but it's a lot harder in person. So if you can capture that feeling and that energy, and you're face to face with somebody and you're asking them for a donation like you will on the 15th, if you can dial in that 30, 45 seconds that you have, you're gonna get a donation in most cases. All right. You want to go first?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try it. All right. So my name is Karen. I'm a member of the Junior League. I'm a newer member of the Junior League. Reason I joined was I was looking to be a little bit more ingrained in our community. I met a gal who said, "Hey, have you heard of the Junior League?" I said, "Heck no, I don't know what that is." She said, "It's kind of like a sorority." And I said, "Well, I've never been in a sorority, but sounds interesting." So I attended one of their mixers and found my people. I definitely was looking for a core group of women that like to do good things in the community. And I found them when I started researching and realized all the things that they've done in our community here. They've been around for 97 years. We've been around for 97 years. You know, founded the Ronald McDonald House, the Discovery Center, the Learning Lab, Boise Urban Garden School, like some really big, cool places that I know, and I would have had no idea. So we're kind of described as the silent little do-gooders, and kind of going around the community and, you know, doing the dirty work or the busy work that maybe some people don't want to do. So that's why we're asking for donations. Is if you don't have the time to do the busy work, we'll do it for you, but we do need money to be able to do these good deeds in our community. So that's it. How'd I do?
No, you did good. Everybody, there's no wrong way to do it. And
Okay.
now, and this is where it gets a little uncomfortable. This is the part, the little critique part of,
Yeah,
you know,
please.
if everybody's always like, yeah, that was great. Go. Yeah. So in that, I heard a few key things.
Okay.
Right. You were introduced to Junior League and you found your people.
Mhm.
You know, so I really think that first piece of, you know, I was looking for a place to volunteer. I was introduced to Junior League, and I really found people that were like-minded to me. I found my band of women. I found people who
tribe.
also wanted to do good. My tribe. Like, I found a place where I belonged with a group of women that wanted to do good. You know, so you can condense that whole first part into just, and really power punch that, like, because to me that resonates. Like, I found my people. Like,
Yeah.
My dad is a 5th generation Marine, but I didn't really do a lot of work with veterans organizations until I found my little crew. And now I have like truly a little, like, my own little army of military guys. And they ask Adrian, they drive me freaking crazy. Like, they're like, I have a whole little crew of them. There's like many of them now. And I introduce sometimes them to each other. But for me, I found my people, even that in an unexpected place, right? And so it's like this idea, when you find a place where you kind of fit and belong, that is really powerful. That resonates. Everybody can relate to a sense of belonging or a sense of not belonging. And so I think it hit that right out of the way. Like, you know, this is what I found. And then once I found them, I resonated so strongly with them. And then I found out all of the good that they do. And I really want to be part of that good because, not just because it's cool, like Ronald McDonald House, Discovery Center, and I love Boise Urban School. I love bugs.
I know, right?
They're just so sweet. Those people are so sweet. So it's like, not just because they're building things that have, it sounds like name dropping, right? Like, it's the equivalent of like nonprofit name dropping. Like, you know, we built all these things, we're amazing. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm kind of like, well, awesome. You don't need me. You already did all these awesome things.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good job, guys. Like, I'm making my money over here where, like, you know, I didn't even know that many people had epilepsy. Like, I'm like super freaked out about kids being ostracized from school. So, you know, like, you want to dial that down. And I think go with, you know, I found my people. It's relatable. They do really good things. And I would say, like, when they see social issues, whether it be early learning or now food insecurities, they jump in as a team, and then they can build some amazing things. And they've done some great work around Boise. You know, and leave it at that point, because then they'll be like, oh, what kind of things? And that engages. So
Okay.
I think now I'll give you a minute to kind of regroup and then try it again.
Okay.
You're doing awesome. Like this,
Okay.
this is a tough experience. And like I've been on calls with people, I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like I love the words that are coming out of your mouth, but I'm feeling nothing. And I am
Okay.
literally the most feeling person. If I feel nothing, like you gotta like, we got a problem.
Do we need
Because
a hug?
I'm a bleeding heart, right? Like, so you gotta take this out of auto drive, and like
Okay.
you're excited and you're like learning. So I feel lots of joy for you, but
Okay.
try it again.
Okay. I'm still going to talk slow though. I'm going to try to go faster though. Okay. So I was introduced to Junior League. Oh, I'm Taryn and I'm a member of the Junior League organization. I was introduced to Junior League and I immediately knew that I had found my tribe. They're my people, my happy place. Once I found out about all the good things that they do for our community, I just knew I wanted to be a part of that. So,
And what are you guys focused on now in Junior League?
right now we are focusing on hunger and food insecurity in the Treasure Valley, which, yeah, I enjoy. I've volunteered at several food kitchens in the valley, even outside of Junior League, just because I do know that it's a really big issue. Yeah.
And as a mom, the idea, I'm sure, of thinking about so many families having food insecurity with children is heartbreaking.
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's awful.
Like,
yeah.
I'll play the mom card. I do it all the time.
Okay.
All the
As
time.
a mom. Yeah.
But being a mom is a really hard job.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and like, but it also makes you a totally different person.
Okay.
And again, very relatable. And if you're talking to men, as a parent, like
yeah.
as a parent, the idea of somebody else's children going hungry and having food insecurity is heartbreaking to me.
Yeah.
And it should not be that way. So that now I understand why you're a member of the Junior League and that it is this cool organization of powerhouse women. That makes me excited. And then now I understand, like, in that organization and finding your people, you are having some great volunteer experiences. And at the end of the day, the social issue is that we have hungry people that are like not just broke, but homeless, hungry people. And that's unacceptable.
Yeah, unacceptable. I've been broke a long time ago, and yeah, it's no fun. It's no fun at all. So yeah, now that I'm not broke, I'm excited to help people that need the help because I know how welcome it is to feel that. So,
and that's a great piece too of saying, like, you know, I feel like for a lot of us, we've been in places where we needed help, and now that we are in a position to help, it's time to give that help. Good job, Karen. I know it's always awkward to be the first one and be critiqued. You're like, it was like the second group, someone like looked at me and they're like, I'm like, if you're looking at me like, why do I have the ability to critique you? Well, I have 28 years experience in fundraising and this is what I do. So you can take it or leave it, but yes, I'm in a position to critique. There you go.
No, I appreciate every little bit of it. I have about 9 months experience in fundraising. So lay it on thick.
I love it. Thank you so much. All right, Kristen, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'm happy to go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I do have a weird. Okay, so I joined the Junior League of Boise about 5 or 6 years ago, and I too found my people. I was a recent transplant to the Treasure Valley, someone who went from working in the office and traveling all over the world for my job to working literally at my kitchen table. I was looking for women to connect with, but also a different kind of women. I'm an executive in my organization, and I was just looking for women that were looking for leadership opportunities. And that was exactly what I found in the Junior League of Boise. Not only did I find my people, but in my newly adopted community, I wanted to really not only be a part of the community, but look to make a difference. And just in my short time in the Junior League of Boise, I've not only taken myself to leadership levels that I didn't think possible, I've also traveled extensively for the Junior League and held many leadership positions, but also I've been able to be a partner with a lot of different organizations that are key to our focus, whether it be Idaho Food Bank, City of Good, BSU, College Kids Food Bank, really been able to do there and get my hands dirty and really just start doing the good work. We are an organization of women that wants to do and make change. And it's been the best experience of my professional life.
Okay. I love a lot of that. I love do and make change. Like, I love that. I love that the leadership piece of it. You know, that looking for something that was at that high level executive leadership side of it. I still don't know why I'm supposed to give you money.
I knew I was lost at the end there.
Like, I love you. I want to join. I want to hang out with you. Like, I want to be friends, but I don't, I'm like, I'm like, I feel like, are you recruiting me to join the junior league, or are we just going to hang out and have a glass of wine? There's no join me in this, or there's no ask piece to it at all. So I have no idea what the problem is, or why you need money. You get to travel around with junior league. They do cool stuff. So that's what's missing, right?
Okay.
Do you want to?
So go again.
Or just, yeah. Yeah, go again.
Okay.
Shorten the experience, shorten the personal experience piece, and talk more about the social issue piece.
Okay. So my name is Kristen Schroeder, and I'm a member of the Junior League of Boise. I've been a part of this organization for about 5 years and joined because I was a recent transplant to the Treasure Valley and really wanted not only to connect with like-minded women kind of at a higher level of their professional career, but also to really connect with my community. So in my experience with the Junior League of Boise, I've been able to partner with numerous organizations where we are looking to fight hunger and food insecurity, where we are chipping away at a lot of little projects with regards to impacting hunger and food insecurity within the Treasure Valley. But what we're looking for is, and this is where we really need help with, so this is where my kind of training I need from you as Alicia, is really trying to eradicate hunger and food insecurity, but we're looking for a big project that we're solving for. And that's where we know we have a huge problem with our ask, because we've just recently made this shift, right, where I could talk about hunger or early childhood education. We just don't have that thing, and we're trying to build that thing right now.
And you're going to be in a room full of a lot of different types of people.
I know.
I think there's a really good opportunity there to say, I have two asks of you. And, one is to join us in the junior league as far as making a donation tonight to support our projects in food insecurity, but we're also looking to identify a large scale project that we can put all of our resources into and help build. For example, when we did build the Discovery Center, we were a big piece of that. We want to build something like that serves the homeless or the food insecurity community.
Okay.
Because they might have those ideas, right? Like,
okay,
that's a good conversation to have. Like when you're in front of like a Larry Leisure, like, not only are we, we're an amazing organization of powerhouse women. We are raising funds for this food insecurity project and for the work that we do, but we're also looking for, even though we're chipping away at small projects, we're also looking for a big project. So if you have any ideas or you have thoughts on what that project could be that you're already working with, I would love to meet with you for coffee after tonight. Don't get into it there, because you will literally get stuck with one person for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So make that ask of, I would love to hear your ideas. Here's our QR code. Here's my Calendly link. No pressure, but if you know of some great projects in that realm, reach out to me.
Taryn and I need to come up with a project in the next 12 days. So we'll be busy.
Or there's that.
6 days, 10 days.
Or there's that. And either way, when you're making that ask, you're asking for a donation to support food insecurity in the valley. So whether that becomes and see, figure out what the project will be, then it does make it a lot easier. And there's a lot of people that can guide you with that, probably from the food bank standpoint, or I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm curious what you guys.
Well, we are starting at the ground floor, and this might be something that we evolve, but we are starting at the ground floor with kind of re-engaging a legacy. The Global Junior League has a community project called Kids in the Kitchen, which we are going to be looking to partner with Bugs. Maybe we need to push that faster, so we have kind of that as a specific talking point and talk about getting that. So Taryn, I'm going to have a conversation with Megan right after this call.
I love that. So there are so many kids who don't know anything about cooking. I literally have between my fiance and I, we have 2 teenagers that I'm pretty sure don't know how to boil water.
It's a thing.
No matter how much I drag them, and then I've got I've got one teenager who's happy to cook in the kitchen with me, who could go whip something up for you, and I got a 10-year-old who wants to cook everything by himself. But I have like one of my literally he Googled how to scramble eggs for his fiance's breakfast.
I think that's really romantic.
Romantic in the sense
I see
of,
some
yes, he put some effort. Not romantic in the sense of, you're 20, figure out how to scramble some freaking eggs. I'm not marrying you.
Oh my gosh. My 17-year-old, he made chocolate souffle on Sunday. Kid you not. Like, sent me a picture from his dad's house. He's like, we're making chocolate souffle.
Yeah,
Right?
kids cooking, kids engaging in food and the food appreciation, kids gardening, anything like that, where you're taking that pre-ed and that learning that you've done and now moving it, transitioning it into food insecurity. That's a beautiful thing, because you already have done so much of the work there, but now how do you move that forward? Even something involved with a food pantry at the Ronald McDonald House would probably be super freaking powerful, because that's a cool idea, right? I don't know. Like, because you got a lot of people that are staying at the Ronald McDonald House and they're drowning in bills, medical bills, and they don't have everything that they need food wise. Like food boxes for
Yeah.
Ronald McDonald House would be a cool project.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Adrian.
Me. Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Adrian Moreno. I am the marketing director of the Veteran Entrepreneur Alliance. I'm also a Navy veteran myself. When I was in the Navy, me and my wife, we were like heavily involved with the community. It was almost like a family. You do everything together. My wife would hang out with their wives or spouses. It was just a really, really big family. I got out and discharged in San Diego, and I moved up to Boise, and I lost that, and I lost a lot of my community and my people. It was very, very empty, and the Veteran Entrepreneur Alliance kind of fit that like-mindedness that I was looking for with trying to start a business. I was very, very involved with trying to start and launch my own businesses. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but I was introduced to the VEA, and they provide a lot of resources, a lot of training, and the big part is they provide a lot of community within their own veteran entrepreneurs and veteran spouse entrepreneurs. And so the Veteran Entrepreneur Alliance has grown into like a really, really big staple and family kind of in my life. And what I'd like you to do today is to donate to the VEA and fund that type of community and stimulate your local veteran and veteran spouse entrepreneur economy and join the support network.
Good job.
Thank you.
I mean, Adrian's been through the ringer with me a few times already, so. And I think for you, the biggest tip is just get comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Like I know that it's like nerve-wracking, and I know that you're kind of like the cool, quiet dude. You're brilliant, and I love all the work that I've done with you has been amazing. So it's like, just get comfortable being able to say that, and I appreciate the vulnerability there. Like. That's a hard thing. That's sometimes a hard thing, right? To say like, yeah, it's lonely, and so I appreciate that. Just get comfortable so it's smoother.
Yeah, that honestly, that was like the big push for joining Isaac, and I've known Isaac since like 2019, and his like story of, you know, he got out, loses his community, like is a wartime veteran, like gets out, and unfortunately his buddy fell prey to suicide, and he is, you know, he used his entrepreneurial skills to just like laser focus into giving himself like a direction that you know, kind of sidesteps like thinking about all of these tragic things that happened. And you know, he turns around and he says, I've built a successful business, and now I'd like to help the next veteran and the next one and the next one, and then it just snowballs into this organization. I was like, you know, as soon as I got up here and I didn't know anybody, and he tells me that story, I was like, can we be friends? because I get it, man. And I'm lonely too.
Yeah. I think so. I'm almost glad he's not on the call today because he is so very good at his story. I mean, dude is on point. Like he has one of the best elevator pitches and confidence in presenting of anybody I know. When we've been working together on different events, and when he joined Putts for Patriots and did his interview, I was like, "The hell are you?" Like,
It's kind of dialed in. Oh yeah.
what? Like it was like he just came out of like a TV commercial, but so authentic. So in that sense, he doesn't. But at the same time, I wish he was here so you guys could see how dialed in he is, because he's such a great example. Yeah, so he's a good dude. All right, Kyle, we'll just keep it in the family.
All right. So my name's Kyle. I am the engagement director here at the VEA and the Veteran Entrepreneur Alliance. And what our organization does is we provide vets and their spouses with the resources and education necessary to help veterans get pointed in the right direction to get their follow their entrepreneurial dreams. So one thing that vets, when vets, as a vet myself, 8-year Army vet myself, when you get out, you kind of have to reinvent yourself as a civilian again. And for a lot of veterans, what that looks like is being your own boss and running your own business. But you quickly find out that there's a lot more to that than just setting up shop somewhere and just, taking calls and going out and talking to people and trying to chase down business. There's a lot more to that. So what this organization is kind of based around is that our vets have, served their country. They answer that call. And when they come home, this is our opportunity to serve them and get them pointed in the right direction and help them carve out their piece of the American dream. So I'm asking you to consider donating to the VEA so we can help get our vets a leg up on their new lives.
Okay, that was brilliant. Like, I think you use really good buzzwords. Like, I experienced this. I want to be part of this. I love, like, they served, now it's our turn to serve them. I love the carve out of the American dream. Like, that verbiage was freaking on point.
Appreciate it.
I got nothing for you, Kyle. Nothing. I can't even look at you right now. That was so good. All right, Heidi.
I gotta follow that. Wow.
I didn't know he would be that good.
So unfair. Okay.
Can Isaac just like a lesson on like speaking?
Yeah, you call him and he'll give you a lesson. Like he'll give you a lesson. He's more brutal than I am because he uses mean words. I mean, he'll be like, that sucked, loser. But you'll learn faster because you don't want to be like, or even when you do good, he'll be like, good job, dork. But yes, call him. He'll give you a lesson. All right, go ahead, Heidi.
Okay. My name's Heidi McAdams, and I'm the executive director of the Epilepsy Foundation. And I came to be involved with the organization as a volunteer about 10 years ago. And I'm still with it because over these years, I have seen the stigma, the ostracization of people with epilepsy, and the underfunding that epilepsy receives. And throughout my time here, there have been a lot of stories that have kind of impacted me and just made me know why I'm here and why I pursue this for people with epilepsy. There are about 17,000 in the state of Idaho. And I think what really has motivated me in the last couple of years is that we developed a summer camp for kiddos with epilepsy. It's a short camp, but we're kind of aiming to grow it each year. And we just finished it up 2 weekends ago. And I have lots of stories over my tenure here, but one of them is from this camp that we just had. Our last kiddo pulled up to camp with his parents to be dropped off, and he would not get out of the car. parents couldn't coax him out. So finally we had his camp counselor come to the car and introduce himself to see if maybe he could get him out. And the mom said that his biggest fear was that nobody would like him at camp, and that nobody would want to be friends with him. So when the counselor went up to the car to kind of coax him out, he had actually taken his sleeping bag, his suitcase, and covered himself in the back seat of the car. We couldn't get him out for anything. Finally, we got him out. And let me tell you, he was the life of the party for the entire week. He had the best time. He made friends with everybody there. And on the last day when his parents came to pick him up, it was the opposite effect. He didn't want to get back in the car to leave camp because he said he finally made friends. He finally met people that were like him. So because of that, we need to raise money to grow this camp to be able to reach more kids. And it costs about $1,000 to send a kid to camp. And so in growing this, we need donations. We need help to get these kiddos to camp. So please consider donating to the Epilepsy Foundation of Idaho.
It's been nice knowing you guys.
You started cutting onions.
Yeah. I'm not crying. You're crying, Kyle. I think the only thing is I don't know how to condense that a little bit, but at the same time, like it's so powerful, right? Like maybe even condensing the beginning a little bit of, after being here 10 years, we're really proud of our newest project, which is this project. And knowing that kids are ostracized in school environments, they're scared. And maybe taking the story you told us earlier, or that statement earlier, and rolling into that story is perfect. It's perfection. Because every single story that we talk about, there's a reoccurring theme here in every single thing that everybody has said. This is where I belong. This is where I found belonging. This is where I found friendship. This is where I found connectivity. Whether it's in junior league, whether it's in the VA, whether it's adults finding their tribe or finding family again after feeling disconnected, or a child finding their friends because they're ostracized. Every single one of you has said the same thing, that is that relatable, emotional point of impact, right? We talked originally about relatability, and that is the relatability. I found a place where I belong. I feel relevant. I feel seen. I feel cared for. That is a core of who we are as humans. And every one of you has interwoven that in there. And in that scenario, like, oh, I want to come to your camp. Sign me up. Sign me up as a volunteer. Sign me up as a volunteer.
There were so many happy tears over that week. So many happy tears. It was amazing.
I love that. Yeah, I definitely would share stories like that where, especially when it comes to it breaks my heart to think that kids are so lonely and ostracized over something they have no control over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as adults, we have some control, but sometimes you don't. Like, you go through your country, you come home, you feel lonely, you feel disconnected. Like, you can't control that, but you have the ability to take and advocate to some extent, but you need guidance. But as children, what do? They can't just go out and be like, pound the pavement to find somebody. They can't Google how to make a friend, right? So that's important. Jessica, are you trying to leave before it's your turn?
No, my dog is scratching at the door because she can't see. She doesn't know where I'm now.
All right, you're up.
Okay. Oh God. Now I have to do this all over. Okay. My name's Jessica Strong. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Blaze the Trail USA. We started in 2017 after we lost my sister, Erin, and her daughter, Autumn, at a home explosion up at Tamarack in Idaho. My sister led the way for military, led the way in the military by being the first woman tanker in the nation. Her family was built through adoption, and those costs can be over $30,000. So she was a huge advocate of adoption within her military family. And so we would like to continue that legacy and help military families. How am I going to say that? I don't know. I'm gonna have to rework my ending here.
Maybe you use some of Kyle's like help military families get their part of the American dream.
All without taking his time. Like
You can't. That's copywritten. Trademark.
And I think I've heard you say some different ways of saying it where, you know, we want to help military families continue to grow and thrive, you know, that type of a thing, because it is a really powerful thing that, you know, they've given up so much of their young adult life in service. And now it's time for them to be able to build a family and have that opportunity. So
and
something like that.
I need because well, you know my dad. So I need something. I need a guideline for him that he's not gonna like run off the my dad's a talker. Y'all probably didn't see it last night, but the man will tell you everything that you need to know about everything. And he's former military. So this is like, not only is it his kid, but he was in the military. So if you give him 2 seconds, he's going to take an hour. So I want to make it concise enough and meaningful enough to where it's something he can also stick to. Kind of have to watch out for him on that he's not going to like get rambly and like be able to get the point across. So I need something that's like going to be impactful and poignant, and you know he's going to get a little teary-eyed, but he's got to be able to like just, you know, get through it.
You just told me what you just said earlier, what your new tagline is.
A family for every hero.
That's how you close it. I'm like, you said something earlier. What did you say that was really cool? Yeah.
See,
Please help us. Please help us. Please help us make sure that we can have a family for every hero, provide a family for every hero that needs help.
Right. It's just so weird because like I can negotiate a $250,000 insurance deal for an accident, but like I can't ask for $10. Like, like it's so hard to get your mind into that, like, you know, like get
Right.
out of it being like so monotonous, but like make it impactful and make it so small.
Right.
You know,
I'm going to tell
like,
you the
there-
biggest lesson I've learned in my career. I'm going to share that with you. This is my
Yeah.
biggest learning lesson that I had in my adult career as far as impact moment. I have lots of learning, but I was at a conference for Leukemia Lymphoma Society. I used to be the director there. And they're saying you have to raise this amount of money and each market's different. And we're putting all these guidelines in as a national organization. You have to make this ask at this amount. And like Boise needs to be at the $25,000 sponsorship for like the night. And we're all like, nobody has over $10,000 sponsorship for anything in Idaho. This was, 2015. And so I was like, all right. I was like, whatever, kind of like, I would say I was being a little bit in my head, eye rolly, and yeah, sure, whatever. And then he said something really important. It's your responsibility to make that ask because our patients deserve us to be brave enough to make the ask, whether you believe in it or not. It's not your decision to say what's too much, what's not enough, it's your responsibility to make that ask because those people rely on you and they deserve it. I was like, well then, it hit hard. Like it was one of those things where I heard it and I went, oh, I'm an asshole. Turned around, went back, got our stuff together, made the ask. We had a $25,000 Light the Night walk sponsor. And it took me time on the way home not to just go, this is my responsibility. Our patients are literally fighting for their lives, right? Like, and who am I to say, meh, it's not going to happen. Like nobody else is doing it. And I had to wrap my mind around the fact that nobody else is doing it because we are already the biggest walk here in the Valley. It's my responsibility to make the ask because patients deserve it. It's also my responsibility as a professional to raise the bar and set the tone and be a leader because other people aren't doing it. Doesn't mean I can't, and it doesn't mean I shouldn't. As a professional fundraiser in my field, it's my responsibility to continue to drive and raise that bar of philanthropy so that it becomes an easier ask for somebody else in a different organization even. And that was a mindset game changer for me. Anytime you think, it's so hard, I want to ask, it's so hard, I want to ask, the worst thing anybody can say to you is no. And the reality is if you've signed up to help do something like this, think about the people that you're serving. You're taking on that responsibility to help something that is important. That's why we talk about this. This is why this is relevant. It's not just hang out with Alicia and share our feelings. You know, it's about, this is really powerful. It's really relevant. What you do is extremely important. The people you serve need you to do it and need you to be brave. And if you take that responsibility on, do it the best way that you can do it. Be the best that you can be, and just take a deep breath and make the ask, because you're doing something that's so powerful and so good. You're asking on behalf of a population of people. You're asking on behalf of others that are in need. You're not asking for $10 from your mom to go get ice cream after, you know, like after you've already nagged her 20 times. You know, you're not a little kid. You are grown, powerful adults that are doing big, powerful things for people who can't do it for themselves. You're advocates, you're superheroes, and you just take that deep breath and you ask for the donation. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing with those donations is something that's needed and necessary and important to do. And you're doing it for somebody else. And if somebody says no, that's okay. There's 500 other people there. Move on. Like, they're not rejecting you or telling you no. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Who cares? If you don't ask them, you're not giving them the opportunity to give. And you're also not serving the cause that you took on to serve in the best way. And you're going to beat yourself up over that. What I'm telling you is, you guys are out there, and some of you are volunteers, some of you are employees. At the end of the day, the work that you do is so powerful. Like, I need you to hear that. I need you to hear how important what you do is to the people around you in your communities, to your tribe, to the people you serve, to the children that get to go to camp, to the families who have families and get to grow, to people who are hungry, to people who are trying to build businesses and not shoot themselves in the head. This is very freaking important. For some people, it's a life or death important, right? Once you understand that and you really get it, that ask becomes cakewalk. I'll ask anybody for money for a cause that I truly believe in, that I know is doing good, and they're doing good with that money. I have no problem picking up the phone and asking somebody for something for somebody else. Because these groups are, there's a social issue. They need us to advocate, and we've taken that on as advocates. So let's crush it. Let's put on our capes, our invisible capes, and crush it, because we're powerful when we do that, right? Okay. That was a little bit of raw exercise, and I know that's kind of like, oh, but I hope that you guys all got something really good out of it, that you feel like you got this, that you feel like you're ready, because it doesn't, you know, you can have all of the fun creativity, you can have all the right people in the room, but if you can't get yourself centered and your mind right and your words comfortable, you're not going to shine. And I want you to all shine like the little rock stars you are. So I'm going to touch on this, and this is really about knowing your audience. And this is what your homework's going to be. So we're not going to get too deep into it, because we're going to send you some homework. So in your natural market, there are people that share the same common ground as you, same vision, they're in the same area, the same mission, and those are your like-minded people. They can be your direct contacts that you already work with. Indirect contacts are people who are friends with the people that you already know. Everybody bring in your friends, and that's what we're talking about in this brand ambassador, these peer fundraising. You have your like-minded people, and that equals your audience. Direct, indirect, and like-minded. And the only way to find kind of those direct, or not, the like-minded people, is to share your mission out there. So you work with your direct contacts, you ask them to help you branch out to the indirect contacts or vendors or people that you use. And through that, you're really going to find a group of like-minded people that will become direct contacts. It's like a circle. The circle of influence. So in that circle, you have all these different groups. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to get this via email, and you're going to work through this kind of worksheet. You don't have to turn it into me. This is not homework that's graded. This just helps you focus in and really dial in. Who do you invite to these upcoming things? Who do you need in that room on the 15th? Really dig deep, go through your LinkedIn, go through your contacts, go through your CRMs, go through anybody that's ever donated to you or anybody you've ever met at an event or a networking thing, and make sure that you reach out. It's a really good opportunity for you to not just reach out and invite them and have them there, but just to connect and reach out. Because if they can't make it to that, Like how, and I would send a personal email, as many as you can. You got the LinkedIn invite, right? I could invite 900 people in literally 15 minutes. It is completely, I went through, I sorted, here's all my contacts in Boise, click, 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 click. But that is not a personal touch. This is a quick way of just letting people know what we're doing. But then I need to go through, if I'm in your situation, and really identify, hey, here are my top people in that little tiny circle of my circle of influence. These are the people that I need there that night. I'm going to send an email with the punch bowl invite, and I'm going to follow up with the email. Some of them I'm going to pick up the phone. Jess and I were working on switching one of their events around for Blaze the Trail. They're going to have a golf tournament. We switch it up. We're come up with this really cool idea. She came over to my house. We had a couple of beers. Next thing you know, we got 3 pages of giant Post-its and an entire event planned. It was epic. Like, anybody want to come hang out with me at home? It could go sideways. It was so fun. We're like all over the place. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Well, we can do it here. Let's do that. So then we get on the phone, because an idea is just an idea until you reach out. I called all my boys. I call Lucas, I call Isaac, I call Kevin, all my boys, call them all right out. Guys, Blaze the Trail, I need you here at this day for this purpose. Can you do that for me? Can you help me get this out for Jess? Can you help Jess and I get this out? Can you share it on social media once we get it rolling? Can you advocate for it? Can you make sure that your entire network knows about it? And can you physically be there that day? Right? Lucas, yeah, and I can also help you get a keg of beer. And what about this? Get Isaac, yeah, I'm in. Count me in. Let's do this. Let's do this. Get Kevin on. Kevin, I sent a text. I'm like, hey, I need you on this date. He says, oh, I'm going to be hunting. I get him on the phone. Yes, I will be there 100%. I served what's Mitch. Like, we got this. All 3 of them, because I picked up the phone and I asked them, and none of those 3 dudes are going to say no to me over the phone. Those are my people, right? I do a lot with them, for them, and vice versa. So find those handful of your first 5-10 people. That's how you get warmed up. You get started. Find your crew that you're like, they're going to say yes. They're going to make time for you. Even if they have to give up in the middle of hunting season to be somewhere on a Friday night, even if they don't even like other people and they're antisocial, the people who are going to show up for you, pick up the phone. Because I got to tell you, Jess and I were off the hook at that point. We're so amped up because we have an idea, we've got a concept, we're building it out, we've got some price points, we understand how this makes $30,000 net really easily. But more than that, when we shared it, we got that instantaneous support of our people. Start there. You got the whole list, you got LinkedIn, you got the punch bowl invites, but I'm telling you, go through that worksheet, pick up the phone, and get yourself really amped up by having those people that are your tribe tell you they got your back. They're going to show up for you. And then follow up on the emails, and then shoot out anything you can through LinkedIn or anybody else who have emails for them, Punch Bowl. Track the RSVPs. Just keep track of it, because it's going to be really important. This is a good way to kind of test the waters. It's a good way to get you warmed up for the 15th. It's a good entry into fundraising 101 for those of you who are new at it. It's a good way to refresh and get excited for those of you who've been doing it a long time. I was like, I've been doing this a long time. Blah, 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 another event. For me, I recharge when I get to do those cool things and have those beautiful moments of community, right? So I would suggest you get on the phone, you get those emails out, you follow up, get people excited, and then you're going to have enough people in the room that's going to bolster your confidence. So really that circle of influence, that homework, is going to help you with this. It will also help you if you move to the online auction. It will also help any event that you're doing, right? Because it's a point of contact. I sometimes, like, when I'm working on an event, it gives me opportunity to reach out to sponsors I've cultivated over the years before they go cold, right? So I'll make sometimes calls on behalf of different nonprofits just to continue those relationships. So it gives you a chance to keep your relationships fresh. People you might not have reached out to for a year or two, maybe didn't attend the last event for some reason, people you haven't had a chance to touch base with. It's just a really good opportunity to do that networking that you really need to be doing in your jobs, but it's hard to find time for. Now you have a real good reason, and whether they can make it or not, like, oh, I'm out of town, blah, blah, blah. That's okay. Can I send you the Fundly link? Will you consider making a donation? Will you consider being a brand ambassador when you're back? Will you consider going to our event in February? Like, whatever that looks like, take the opportunity to really dial in that phone call. First thing, try to get them there, make a donation, get them to your next event. Just see how they're doing, right? Engage. So that's what that homework is. It'll get sent out to you by email. You guys have any questions? It is 2:30. I kept you for your 90 minutes. What questions you got?
How do I get my
s-
QR only?
QR code generators. There's tons of them on the internet. You just use a QR code generator and put your Fundly link into the generator. It generates you a QR code.
Oh. Okay, just how I did it before. Okay,
Yep.
I didn't know if Fundly like
Nope,
their
we
own
don't have
one.
it, neither them or us have a QR code generator integrated. Kyle, what you got?
So for the event on the 15th, when we are trying to find, 40 individuals who are going to come and donate and essentially, vouch for us or whatever, but is this going to be like obviously I would assume it's like business casual, but are these people kind of also allowed to fly their own flag if they have their own businesses that they want to, represent their own brand and all that? They want to put their name out
Absolutely.
there like, yeah, I support these guys. My organization, my company supports these guys over here. Can they do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had Fireside Pine out in the first round, and they're obviously a big veterans organization. Like, obviously they were really open to a conversation with West Valley, and they have their own apparel. And we interviewed them. We had State Farm, we had Midstar Firearms. So yeah, if they're a local owned business, they should be business networking. They're not going to be talking to you the whole time. They're going to get about 3 minutes of a pitch from you, and then what? They're going to stand there and just watch you pitch. No, they should be ready to network. They should be wearing their own logo. Like if I'm State Farm, I'm wearing a State Farm polo. Like I've got my business cards in hand. Ow, I just bashed my knee on that. Ow. So I would say definitely give them the opportunity to promote their business as well as listen to the other nonprofits. If they're another nonprofit, I would ask them not to do that. We had a few nonprofits that were different nonprofits at the first round that we had invited, and we'll have other nonprofits people that come, like we had Opera Idaho, their stuff, and they do a great job of networking, but they're not there to solicit donations, and they know that. But any other business networking is going to be huge. I would give them that as a carrot, 100%.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do you guys have any questions for Christy?
I sent out
start
the
with you.
email. I sent
What
out
was
the
your
email to everybody for that. And I think you probably got that. And we'll have everybody's email from this list send out to this this recording after I download it. But other than that, we have our calendar invites. Would encourage if you guys want to have a separate meeting in both Alicia's and my email signatures, there's a link called Book a Meeting. But I would encourage that you do that. If you want to have a separate conversation or have more questions that come up, you're welcome to do that. So we do encourage that because this is about that education and giving you the best advantage that you can. Any additional information that you want, or you want to talk through some ideas and how to get creative, or maybe some things that you're thinking, or maybe what you want some additional feedback on, feel free to reach out to us. That's so much fun for us. So I would encourage you to do that.
Christy, when you send that, will you send the Circle of Influence worksheet?
Yeah, great idea. Thank you.
That way you get your homework along with your video, and so you don't get too many emails.
Great point. Yes, I'll do that. All right.
And again, it's an exercise for you to understand better what you're doing. It's not something you have to turn into me. When we do the next session, we'll talk a lot about business outreach, sponsorship opportunities, making that ask on a more of a business level and what that looks like and how to get creative. Whereas today we're talking more about the personal level and that individual part, and really dialing in the confidence to make those asks one-on-one. And that leads into the next conversation around businesses. So do you guys feel like this is a good use of your time? It's always good to get feedback. Do you feel like it was helpful? Or you're like, oh my God, that was an hour and a half of my life that Alicia just sucked out of me?
It was awesome. And now I want to donate to everybody. I love you all.
I want to join Junior League. I want to go to camp with Heidi. I already work with the DEA, and I'm already planning an event with Jessica, so I already get to see the joy of them. But now I'm like, I want to hang out with you guys too.
Like I need to call my file and be like, please tell me what to say.
So yeah, I should thank the rest of you for going first too, because as she was critiquing you, I was over here scribbling notes like, oh, I should probably add this. I should probably take that oil. And so yeah, thanks for letting me cheat.
Yeah, it's always harder to go first, like, because you're like, okay, she gave us an example, but that was fast, and now I'm like, crap. So thank you guys. Thank all of you so much for your participation, for your openness to learn, and that vulnerability. It really is a great joy to get to know you better as human beings as well, and to be able to support you in the work that you're doing and in your endeavors. So I deeply appreciate that time that you gave me today to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you guys. Look for more information coming soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.